Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are back outside in the great outdoors in front of some beautiful reds and velvets and purple flowers behind me, as you can tell. It looks very beautiful. So today guys, we're going to be talking about another aspect and that of the game, and that is, does rarity really matter? And as by the title, as you can see, does rarity really matter in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? Now I know different people have different takes on rarity. Some people just like to make their decks look nice and play high rarity cards, and that's perfectly fine. Some people just like making certain cards in their deck a certain rarity. So for example, I like to play with just some nice, foil Gravekeeper Spies. Do I care if they're the highest rarity? No, but I like them to be hollow because that's a card that's very intricate to the Gravekeeper archetype and plays, you're going to use that card a lot. And you want it to look nice. Also, same thing goes with Necro Valley or Gravekeeper Sheehan. I wouldn't want to play, I want to play with a, Storm of Ragnarok Sheehan because it's a card I like a lot. I identify myself with it. Blue Eyes White Dragon. I could not see myself personally playing with anything besides the original Seto Kaiba structure decks, Blue Eyes White Dragons from the original Seto Kaiba structure deck. Because I identify with those cards. I play with those cards for a long time. Those cards mean a lot. Would I go for a higher rarity if somebody offered me a good price? Yeah, I would take it, but I'm not going to kill myself over it. But there's certain cards in my decks that I want to make, a hollow card. I couldn't see myself playing with a common Blue Eyes White Dragon. Not saying that's a bad thing, I just can't see myself doing that because I love Blue Eyes that much. It would kind of hurt me personally to be playing with that. Excuse me. But if that's what you play with, that's perfectly fine. You're saving money, I understand that. And a lot of people in this game, sometimes they have to play with high rarity cards, otherwise they feel like they're not good. And different people feel like there's different reasons for why you should play high rarity cards. And we're going to touch on that today, as that's a very weird sight behind me. This dog just came running towards me, then turned around and ran back. I apologize, my mind got distracted for a second. Excuse me. Excuse me. So that's what we're going to be discussing about today, guys. I apologize for that distraction in the background I had. But yes, does rarity really matter? Now, some people believe that you need, if you play a high rarity deck, you have to, it'll make your opponent feel awestruck. You'll make them go, oh my gosh, this guy spent so much money on this deck. They've got to be a good player. Some people feel that's a symbol of status in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have high rarity cards, that means you're a good player. That, I'm going to say right off the bat, is not true at all. I've met many players in this game that just play high rarity cards because they have the money, yet they're very awful at the game. That's a false notion. If you play high rarity cards, you're automatically a good player. That is not true. I would rather play, there's different ways. Some people believe that if you play high rarity cards, you're going to get better draws in your deck. Granted, I will admit, there was a time in this game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought the same thing. If I had hollow cards, I would draw those cards more often. But that was back when I was first getting started into the game, so I was like 12 years old. I really didn't know that much. I just assumed because I was like, I wonder, because I feel like I'm drawing these hollow cards a lot more than the common ones. But playing the game after a year or two, I quickly found out that that was not the case, and that was a completely false thing that people had come up with. It wasn't true. Some people feel that if you play high rarity cards, it's going to make your opponent go into this starstruck mode where they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's such a good player, he's got a all hollowed out deck, I don't know if I can beat him, he looks like he's professional and all that. Granted, that is sometimes true, and to players that are coming into the game or new to the game, seeing that can somewhat be it can play to the person's advantage that has a hollowed out deck. But if you're going against a player that's been in this game for a long time, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to work most of the time if they're a good player. They'll be like, oh, cool, nice hollow deck, man. Okay. And the one thing that I've always seen players that kind of look down on their noses on people that play, low rarity decks or stuff like that, they'll go against a player that plays a low rarity deck thinking they're an awful player, and they'll sometimes get their face just completely pushed in and destroyed. Their deck will get destroyed, their hollow deck will get destroyed, while the player that was playing the common deck will just completely dominate the other opponent. This is something that I've seen time and time again. And my friend, one of my good friends, about 3 or 4 years ago, did a test on this at one regionals. So what he did was, he took I think it was like he brought a regular old, like one of the structure deck type of mats. So the ones you get like out of the structure deck, like the Blue Eye structure deck, or the Hero structure deck, just a regular old paper play mat. He got sleeve covers that match that, play covered play mat. Not Yu-Gi-Oh mat place, sleeves. He just got like something that made him look like a noob. And he went in kind of like as the underdog. And as soon as people started playing against him, if they went first, they played and they overextended their plays because they felt like they could dominate this guy who didn't look like what he was doing. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. He looked like a noob. He didn't look like he was doing. And he proceeded to whip their ass and actually got, I think, 10th place at that regionals. So that wasn't a testament for me seeing that being done, that it doesn't really matter. That was like the nail in the coffin for me to say that you can actually play all common deck and people will underestimate you. And you can play our high rarity. It's the same thing. But rarity, at the end of the day, does not matter, I feel like. It's okay if you want to bling out your deck because you like that archetype. It's perfectly fine. I love Gravekeepers. I love Six Samurai. I love Blue Eyes. I want to make those decks as hollow as possible because I like those decks. I want to make Dark Magician hollow because I like those decks. Those are decks that I'm going to keep long after I quit the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's going to be something it's nice to look at. It's really nice sometimes when you're going through your decks and you're saying, I remember that Dark Magician and the duels we've had fun together over the years. I remember that Dark Magic attack that looks really nice and pretty. That's perfectly fine if you like the artwork for what it is. But I feel like when people get in this perception that you have to, you're an awful player if you don't play high rarity, it's just not true. And there's many players I've known throughout the years that they used to play, very low rarity type of stuff, and then as they got more money, they started to gravitate into more high rarity stuff, and that's perfectly fine. If you've got the money and you want to do it, then go do it. But don't feel like, impress your opinion that if you don't play high rarity, you're not a good player on others, because that is not the case. That is far from it. I would rather spend, instead of paying $100 on a certain high rarity card and get it playing maybe the $5 common, I'd rather play the $5 common because I can use that other $50, or give or take, like $95, I guess you could say, to finish building out my deck that I want to, same exact thing as the high rarity deck, and also maybe even put the other money I have left over into building another deck on the side just for fun. That's one of the reasons why I'm able to build so many decks in the game, is because I don't always buy high rarity stuff. I buy commons, rares, supers, low rarity stuff. I'll buy high rarity stuff when I like a deck, Six Samurai. Or what I will do is I'll wait for the hype train to go by, like Six Samurais and Gravekeepers, and then I'll start buying the high rarity stuff if they go down in price eventually. But I mean, if I know I'm going to keep a deck for a long time, I'll slowly bling it out through time. And it's kind of a testament to some of my decks. It's kind of like battle scars or medals of honor for certain decks of mine to have a lot more bling on it or be hollowed out. Why? Because if I've had those decks for a long time, I've been in many duels with them online, in real life, I'll try to make that deck more hollow because I've had the deck for a long time. I know I'm going to keep it for a long time. So I'll make it hollow more because it's kind of like a badge of honor. I've had you for a long time now. Now let's start making you hollow because you've earned the deck. You, the deck, have earned it, and I like you now as a deck, so I'm going to make you nice and pretty. So that's fine. So different people have different ways of going about it. But at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning of this video, don't feel like if you don't play a hollow deck, you're not a good player. If you don't play a hollow deck, you're a scrub. Don't impress those views on others because that's completely wrong and just not right. And I think if you're doing that, that's very wrong to look at. If you want to go hollow your deck out, go right ahead and do it. If you got the money, go do it. If you like it because you like making your deck look nice, go do it. But just know at the end of the day that some of these notions that Yu-Gi-Oh players had, that you would draw better, means you're a good player, that means any person that has a hollow deck automatically is a good player, is not true. Some of these other notions are just not true at the end of the day. So that's why I made this video about, you know, does rarity really matter? And at the end of the day, I'm going to say to you guys, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't. It really doesn't. So that's my little rant. That's my little talk. I know it took me a couple of videos. I had to redo this video like 5 times before I finally seem to have made one that I really think is good and gets my point across. But till next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling to all of you. I will see you all next time. And Seto Kaba, I'm out of here, guys. Till next time. Good luck dueling to all of you.